Welcome back to our NCAA football win total series. We are continuing on today in the Big 12 with Baylor. And we look at Baylor, and they've actually got a pretty awesome history since the college football playoff started. They haven't made one, but they've finished in the top 7 3 times under 3 different coaches. It was Art Briles back in 2014. They ended up being 5th after an 11-win season. They lose in the Cotton Bowl. Then it was Matt Rule in 2019. They would go 11-3 overall. They made a Sugar Bowl and lost there. And then Dave Aranda in 2021. He had a 2-7 2020 COVID year, and then 2021 12-win campaign after a Sugar Bowl. They would finish 7th in the CFP, but they dropped to 6-7 in 2022 after an Armed Forces Bowl game or a loss. And then last year, things were a little off for Baylor. They open up against Texas State, loss. Number 12, Utah, loss. First win of the season's Long Island University. They get a win, and then they lose against Texas. They're 1-3, and they've played 4 home games. November 30th, they get a win on the road at UCF, a 1-point victory. They lose to Texas Tech the next week, beat Cincinnati on the road by 3, then a loss to Iowa State, an overtime loss to Houston at home. Kansas State on the road gets destroyed. At TCU gets destroyed. West Virginia 3-point loss at home, and they end up being 3-9 in Dave Aranda's 4th season. Aranda's back though, and some other parts are back, but there's some new exciting parts. First of all, quarterback. Blake Shapen was okay last year, but they've got a brand new shiny toy in DeQuan Finn coming in from Toledo. And he's a great runner, great passer, ton of fun to watch at Toledo. And he's basically playing behind a group of 5 offensive line here. The Baylor offensive line was awful last year. They were the worst in sacks, worst in tackles for a loss. They're just dreadful. They bring back 4 starters from that group. Those guys were young and inexperienced. They should improve. They also bring in a transfer from Ohio to help out. Receiving-wise, Monterey, Baldwin's back. He's their top threat. They also have Ketron Jackson, who's a deep threat. Texas State's former top receiver, Ashton Hawkins, will be coming in as well, 1,700 yards over the last 3 years. They got a good running back trio. It's Dominic Richardson, Richard Reese, and Dawson Pendergrass, over 1,100 yards and 8 scores for them. And for as bad as the offensive line was, the defensive line was worse. They were one of the worst scoring defenses last year. They were one of the worst in getting pressure on the quarterback, one of the worst at tackles in the backfield. They bring back a front 3 rotation with Cooper Lands and Trevin May. Trey Wilson and JUCO transfer Tonga Loa will have to hold up on the ends. Really, it's going to have to be the linebackers that do a lot of work here. Matt Jones is back. He's a middle linebacker, good, solid tackler. Brooks Miller will be on the outside. They just need more of a pass rush, and they need to get more pressure on that quarterback because the corners are good. Caden Jenkins is a solid corner. They have Chateau Reed. They have Tevin Williams. These are all 2 good safeties. The defensive backs are good, but they can't cover for 30 seconds at a time. Really, for Baylor, it's going to come down to the offensive and defensive line. If they improve on both sides, they'll be a better team. If not, this is going to be a disaster of a year for them. We look at the schedule, August 31st, Tarleton State. That should be a win. So September 7th, that's at Utah. That will be a loss. September 14th, Air Force, Eileen win. September 21st, at Colorado, probably a loss. September 28th, they've got BYU. And then October 5th, they're at Iowa State for their first bye. After the bye, it's at Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, TCU. Then another bye, and then at West Virginia, at Houston, and Kansas. When I look at this schedule, I break it down to 3 parts. Before the first bye, between the 2 byes, and after. I think they get 3 wins before the first bye. I also think they might get 1 or 2 wins after the second bye. I worry about the 3 in-between games. I don't know if they're going to beat Texas Tech on the road. I don't think they're going to beat Oklahoma State. I don't think they can beat TCU. So when I break it down, Tarleton State's my only for sure win on the schedule. I do think they get BYU, and I think they get Air Force. Probably at Houston, but that's about it. I think this is a 4 to 5 win team this year. Just massive concerns on both lines. That's where I'm putting it. We're going to take the under 5.5 wins. It's right now sitting at minus 115 on FanDuel, and that is going to be our pick for Baylor. If you like this content, please come back. We're going to have BYU next. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it with your friends, and we'll see you next time.